who have registered students at Cherokee Classical Academy. And I am pleased to tell you, we've had over 1,000 applications, and we are, for all intents and purposes, 100% enrolled. We're very close to that number. Maybe it's like 99 or 98%, and we've got about 400 students still on the wait list. And so we are incredibly encouraged by the response and the interest of you all, and just delighted to get to know you. And that's really why we're doing part of today, is that I want to be able to spend some time with you and you with me. The other group of people that we have on the call is we do have some of our future employees that are joining us. And so we're delighted by that. We're going to be employing about 64 people or so in our first year. And I think we're actually right at 65, 70% hired, which is great. So one of my introductory messages to all of you, whether you're parents or whether you're employees, and maybe we have some that are not fully on board the team quite yet, but my encouragement to you, and you can tell your friends, keep enrolling. There will be fluctuations to enrollment as things roll out over the next several months. That is a typical normal thing for a startup school. So tell your friends to continue to enroll in the school, even though there's a wait list right now. And if you're interested in employment, keep applying. We're still doing a good bit of hiring, and we want to make sure that we are fully staffed on opening day. And you can, of course, find details for that at our website, CherokeeClassical.org. And that's kind of my introductory thought here. Okay, purposes of the call I mentioned a little bit earlier. First of all, to welcome you to the school community. We want to celebrate the school community that we're going to be developing together. We want to tell you a little bit about where we've been, but more importantly, we want to set kind of a vision for the future and tell you where we're headed. Okay, so that's kind of the aims for the call. I want to, let's see, I'm going to talk you through this agenda here really quickly. And by the way, if it helps you to minimize the people that you see on your screen, you can kind of toggle the Zoom features there and then kind of minimize the gallery if that helps you to see me more fully. I will be sharing some slides that you may want to read as well. So here's the game plan for the day. First of all, we're going to talk about 4 founding principles for success, and I just want to reiterate a key feature here. So Liberty Classical Schools has been around essentially for about 12 years, and we have been starting schools. This will be our 3rd, and we are still learning every single day and getting better every single day, but we've also learned a lot. And so we really want to share with you what we perceive to be some of the key features of success going forward. 4 founding principles, we're calling them: mission, curriculum, culture, and community. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Liberty Classical Schools and kind of set Liberty in context and tell you how Liberty Classical Schools and Cherokee Classical Academy fit together, and want to explain to you kind of how that benefits you. I'm gonna share with you some of my lessons for new school communities. Again, that's sort of drawing from my experience, both as a father, but also as a school leader and in this movement. I've picked up a couple of lessons or two that I would love to share with you. And then finally, we will end with some announcements and next steps. And so invite you or encourage you to stick around till the end so that you don't miss those things. And then as we go here, friends, if you have questions about anything related to the school, I would encourage you to write those into the chat. And I may just kind of luckily touch on some of your questions today, but you may have some more detailed questions that you'd like to dive into. If you'll write them into the chat, we're going to collect those, and then we will reflect back your questions and give you answers over time through other media, whether that's our webpage or emails or so forth. So please do feel free to write into the chat with your questions, and we will do our best. Today's going to be a little bit high level because I really want to set the tone for things. I want us to be thinking about the highest and best ideas that are associated with this incredible movement, and bring you along the ride. All right, here, let me flip to my next slide here, if I can. All right, yeah, we talked about these are sort of the big ideas: mission, curriculum, culture, and community. And you should know from the outset, Liberty is a mission-driven organization, and Cherokee Classical is going to be a mission-driven American classical school. And I want to, as any good classical school would, we like to look back into the past. We like to learn from those who've gone before us, who've learned the hard things and done great things. And I want to set this kind of movement a little bit in context as I lead towards telling you what the mission of our school is, which incidentally is the best reason to join us, is I want to share a quote from you that's from the Northwest Ordinance. This is actually a law passed in 1787 by the Congressional Congress of the Continental Congress of the time, and they were describing for themselves how they were going to perpetuate the Republican form of government throughout the Northwestern territories, what we would say is today modern day kind of Midwestern United States of America. And this very beautiful phrase just kind of sums up so many things that we're trying to do. And kind of part of the context here is they're laying down the law that they were going to allocate a portion of every township for public education. And we're big fans of public education, obviously. And this is what they said in this law, which is still one of the cardinal laws of the U.S. today. It says that morality and knowledge, being necessary to good government and the happiness of mankind, schools and the means of education shall forever be encouraged. Isn't that a beautifully written sentence? We love that. And why do we love it? Because it really articulates a couple of really important things. First of all, it tells us what we ought to do in our schools. We ought to teach morality and knowledge. That is really the subject matter, though, and that incidentally is a very old idea. Comes out of the classical era of 2,400 years ago in Greece. This notion that human happiness, human flourishing, is the result of the things that we know, but also the habits of excellence that we cultivate. And then it also tells us in this same phrase or same sentence the reason for having good public schools. And it says that good schools are necessary for good government and the happiness of mankind. So there's this awesome correlation or alignment between what's good for the human heart, what's good for the human soul and the human person is also great for a Republican form of government. And so that's really kind of a fundamental element or fundamental idea that's behind, why we are so passionate about delivering American classical education in a public school realm. So, well, let me just go ahead and tell you the mission of the school in its long form. We say that the mission of our school is to develop our students in mind and character through a content-rich American classical curriculum that emphasizes the principles of virtuous living, traditional learning, and civic responsibility. And in its short form, as you can see here on the slide, our mission is to form knowledgeable, virtuous citizens. And quite simply, we believe in this quote said by Dr. Martin Luther King many years ago, intelligence plus character, that is the goal of education. So that's kind of that is our game plan. That is our flagship idea that we will come to again and again. We will soon teach your students our Latin motto, which is these three words, virtus scientia felicitas. This too sort of flows right out of the classical idea of the purposes of education and also out of this notion we just uncovered in the Northwest Ordinance. And it signifies kind of a transition, is that the way to human happiness, the way to human flourishing is knowledge, and that hopefully leads to wisdom and virtue, which are essentially habits of excellence. Well, I want to tell, and kind of on this point of mission, I want to spend just a couple of minutes describing for you kind of what our vision is for our kids. Here you can see a group of kids standing on the stairs outside of one of our graduations at Atlanta Classical Academy, and obviously they're celebrating their walk across the stage. And I want you to know, as moms and dads, and especially our employees, kind of what we're aiming towards is this very thing. We have in our mind what it's going to look like to produce and to form and to shape knowledgeable, virtuous citizens. So I just want to tell you a few things about kind of what we mean by that, because those are lofty ideals. What we mean by knowledgeable is that our students have acquired the knowledge that we teach in our American Classical Liberal Arts curriculum, that they have an appreciation for great works of literature and history and math and science, art and music, government, politics, philosophy, and all these things that really go to shape their heritage. To be knowledgeable means that they have mature reading and thinking and writing and speaking skills, that they have enduring stories and characters and events, art and poetry, even committed to their memory for their own edification. And to be knowledgeable means that they have an informed vision for their lives, and really the wisdom and character to achieve that vision for their lives. And what do we mean by virtuous? Well, we mean that they embody our core virtues. We identify 7 of them. we say that those are courage and courtesy, honesty, humility, perseverance, self-government, and service. These are really habits of excellence that we hope to cultivate and develop in our children. And they are the very things that we, both as leaders in the school, teachers and coaches in the school, and also as parents, obviously need to model. Another thing, to be virtuous means that we value goodness and truth and beauty in all aspects of our lives, which is to say, we want to train our students' affections towards those things that are good, true, and beautiful. We want to hold fast to wonder and curiosity. We want to pursue excellence and justice and responsibility. We want to cultivate in them the sense that they want to do for others and be a good servant leaders in their community and in their homes. Finally, what it means to be virtuous is that we hope that they love the principles of freedom and discipline and responsibility, that they love their friendships and that those friendships are grounded in virtue. And, we actually hope that they will come to fall in love with great books. And then finally, what does it mean to be a citizen? Well, to be a citizen of the United States is a very important thing. It means that a person knows the story of our country, that we know the heights of its foundational claims, and also the complexity of the paradoxical tragedies that have occurred in our nation, and a hopeful belief in their own agency to shape the future as well as their own. So we're talking about kind of a thoughtful kind of a patriotism. We want our graduates to have a conviction of the importance of family and moral virtue and education as the means, as we said earlier, of good government and their own happiness. And as we indicated, another part of citizenship is kind of this eagerness to lead and serve, both in their family, in their community, and in their country. Okay, I want to say just a few words. Remember, this is kind of our 4-point framework. We're talking through mission, and we're saying that the fundamental elements of achieving that mission are curriculum, culture, and community. And so just a few words about the curriculum. And we borrowed this quote actually from the mother of our head of school at Atlanta Classical Academy. It's a beautiful quote, and it really kind of sets the tone for so many different things. She says that the books that we read and the people with whom we read them will determine the direction and the quality of our lives. I mean, that's a startling point, what that means for us. And incidentally, I should have told you at the outset, I'm raising 3 kids of my own. I've got 1 in college and 2 in high school. And they've gone through, in part, our program at Atlanta Classical Academy. And man, I can just tell you, this is such an incredible point. I understand that many of you may be a little bit younger than I am. You may have younger kids by nature of our K-6 start. And so you may or may not be at this point yet, but what comes pretty soon here, my friends, is that our children, and this is totally a normal and good thing, it's the way they're designed, but they will start to seek other sources pretty soon. In middle school and early in high school, they will start to look around at their friends and their friends' families. They will look to their teachers. They will look to their coaches. They will look to the adults in their lives that are not you. And they will be looking for wisdom, and they will be looking for guidance. And so it's at that moment that it's really important that we're surrounding them with adults that are going to speak goodness into their lives, and they're going to do all these things we're talking about in terms of developing both their knowledge that leads to wisdom as well as their virtues. And so our curriculum that we bring is a critically important component of all that we're doing. I want to assure you, it is time tested. It is best in class. It involves our students, your children, in the great conversation that has shaped our culture. It is comprehensive and cohesive. It's been very carefully constructed so that we don't leave parts out. And in fact, there are many parts we spiral back to repetitively. And so let me just kind of talk you through, and you have undoubtedly heard some of these things at our enrollment presentations, but I want you to be aware of the goodness of this curriculum and what your students are going to be involved with kind of from the outset. First of all, as we said, it is a cohesive K-12 curriculum in the liberal arts developed by our intellectual partner, Hillsdale College. I actually have a copy of it. I actually have one sitting right here. I can show you the camera. What I think is kind of cool about this is that we can tell you with a high degree of specificity the kinds of things your students are going to learn across all of the various disciplines of math, science, literature, history, and on and on. The study includes a significant emphasis on American literary, moral, philosophical, political, and historical traditions. and it includes explicit instruction in phonics and grammar, something that our youngest students will get a heavy dose of from the start. The study of Latin is required of all students. And our general approach is that we acknowledge the objective standards of truth and goodness and beauty, and we rely on well-educated and articulate faculty members who will use traditional teacher-led methods of instruction. We are committed to using technology effectively, which is to say minimally and without diminishing the leadership of teachers in the classroom. And a point that I perhaps should make at this point, we are a cell phone free school and we're dominantly a computer free school. We obviously will use computers in the classroom for a number of things, but on a limited basis and for a very specific purpose. Our students will not walk around or have in class their cell phones. So be prepared for that. Be eager for that. It's actually, I think, one of the greatest attributes of the whole culture, which we'll talk about in just a few minutes. But we want them engaging with each other. We want them really using their minds and developing their minds, the original supercomputer, right? And so that's why we have that great approach. We're going to emphasize reading, thinking, writing, and speaking. To do a lot of that, we read great books and biographies. That is to say, time-tested works that really teach us something about what it means to live well and what an excellent human life is like. And I mentioned the great conversation. Our idea is that our students are going to be in conversation in the classroom with the greatest thinkers and writers and political actors and scientists, et cetera, who have shaped our culture. We very rarely use textbooks, particularly in the humanities. We read primary sources. So that means difficult language, big words, and lofty phrases. But it's a great way to kind of weed out a lot of the bias that might creep into things, and we go right to the source. So our students will read works like Magna Carta and the Declaration of Independence, and they will memorize the preamble to the Constitution. They will ultimately read the Federalist Papers and things like Letters from a Birmingham Jail, a very beautifully written letter by Martin Luther King Jr. And our students from the very beginning will write throughout the curriculum. And they will sort of build towards Socratic seminars where they will sit in circles with one another and have very deep and interesting conversations about the works that they're reading. And then finally, our students will, their experience many years from now, as they reach the senior grade level, will write a 15-page senior thesis. And they will draw from the curriculum to write and explore a really important topic that they choose. They will work on that paper with a member of the faculty, and they will present it to faculty members, and you will be there seeing your child make that presentation. It's a very beautiful, wonderful, intellectual rite of passage that they will never forget, and so we look forward to that. And much of our work, quite frankly, is leading to that moment. Having a student in college, I can tell you of the value of that program. It means when they show up in their freshman year in college, presuming that they head to college, and they're assigned that first semester 8 or 10-page paper, it's like nothing. They've done that before. They know how to do it. They're well versed in writing, and which is essentially ordered thinking, and that's the name of the game. That's what we're really, really driving for. Okay, that's probably enough for now about the curriculum. I want to go on and talk a little bit about culture. Culture is maybe one of our most important points of emphasis for this school year. It's really incredible if you kind of think about what we're doing, right? We're going to bring hundreds of students, hundreds of families, 64 or so new employees into a new building, or a new building that's new to us. I know some of you have inhabited that building before. We have not. But come what may, there's going to be a whole new group of people coming together, and we are one way or another going to establish a culture. And so one of the things I think a lot about, and we talk a lot about in our central office here, is how do we establish the appropriate culture for a new school and in a very healthy way. And so I think that's why I want to spend a few minutes today just sort of previewing what I think are the most essential elements of the culture. And I think I might even put this in writing for you all so that we all have it, because I think it's a good thing to drive for intentionally And so let me just kind of start with a simple definition. What is culture? What do I even mean by that? The most simple definition I think is just culture is how we do things around here. It's how we relate to each other. It's about our shared values and beliefs and behaviors. Doesn't mean we agree on everything. Doesn't mean we're on, the same page on absolutely everything, but there is a core set of commitments that we're making by nature of coming to the school. And we're gonna pursue those. So culture's about, it's the climate, it's the tone, it's like the temperature in the room, and it describes many of our habits and our norms. And it may be again one of the most important things that we do. Okay, culture is informed very much by our values, and I kind of want to talk through these are core values that those of us at Liberty Classical Schools we defined like 13 years ago when we were bringing Atlanta Classical online. These are essentially the core values that kind of pervade Atlanta Classical Academy, Northwest Classical Academy, our offices here at Liberty Classical Schools, and we hope to really bring these into Cherokee in the same way. So I kind of just want to talk through, and there aren't too many of these, but they're pretty important to us. First of all, we value or we esteem American classical liberal arts as a lifestyle. Well, that's a heavy idea. What do we mean by that? We just mean that all of us are sort of in this in the pursuit, not the perfection, but the pursuit of moral and intellectual virtue. Like that's kind of our starting point. And it means we're bookish kind of people. We like to read books. We like to study the arts. We like to study sciences. We like to think about how these things relate to each other. We love our friendships, and we pursue these things with each other, and at the same time holding each other accountable for behaving well, and being strong, upstanding citizens. The second one is that we esteem or we value community and partnership in the common pursuit of that mission. The key words there being community and partnership. So yes, we're kind of bringing an intentional school model to the community. But we're inviting everybody in. This call and the ones that have come before it are all really invitations to join our work, to get involved with what we're doing, and to partner with us. We absolutely consider the parents are the first teachers of their children. We honestly believe that. And it is our aim, kind of in alignment with our mission and curriculum and all these things we're describing, to partner with you and to create a strong community. And that's what's going to have to happen over the next period of time as we get to spend time with each other, doing the wonderful things we're going to talk about in just a few minutes. But community and partnership are essential for us. The next one here is excellence in academic leadership, teaching, and learning. Oh, if I could just be known, if Liberty Classical Schools could be known for one thing, it might be that. But we want to bring a sense of the pursuit of excellence in academic leadership, which by that we mean that we need men and women who can stand before a faculty of teachers and who can coach and encourage them to pursue their craft with excellence and to get better and better over time. And that we would be known for excellence in teaching, which is, again, we've said this to the folks that we're hiring, but we're really looking for kind-hearted subject matter experts that are willing to be coachable and to come in and learn the curriculum and learn this content-rich approach, and be okay with practicing the art of improving their teaching. It's just kind of a mindset. It's the thing we want our culture to be. And learning, we want to be known for excellence in learning. Well, learning is what the students do, right? And it's an interesting set. I think Dorothy Sayers said that the person who does the thinking is the one who does the learning, right? And so that's a tension we're going to hold for a long time, is that we want to put our students in situations where they are captivated by the things that they're engaging with, that they're thinking hard about it, and therefore that they are learning. And then kind of this last core value is just a reiteration of these virtues, these habits of excellence that we described earlier. And again, we are certainly not claiming that we nor you or any of our new employees are perfect in this. We're just saying that we want to be a people that are pursuing habits of excellence, of courage and courtesy and honesty, humility, perseverance, self-government, probably everyone's favorite, and service. And there's kind of a little quote there. It's maybe a little bit tough to read on your screen, but another Latin quote that we've borrowed from our friends at Hillsdale's. It says, "Virtus tantamine gaudet," and it means strength rejoices in the challenge. And really, this is kind of a fundamental idea about what we're doing, is that we have such an opportunity to do hard things together. Raising kids is hard. and we need one another in doing it. And so we just need to remember that it is, and that when things are hard, that's not some sign that something's wrong. It's a sign that we are human and that we're striving towards lofty goals. And why do we do that? Because we love our kids, we love our community, we love our nation, and all these things are sort of related to that. Okay, other elements of culture. Let me just kind of say, I want to talk through this, and I realize I'm kind of going on at length about culture, but I want us to have the target on the wall. I want us to, it's kind of like, what is the at the end of the year, you might deliver an exam to a student. Well, it's kind of like we're sharing the exam with each other right now. We're saying, what are the things we're driving towards? And so I just want you to know my heart and my vision for what we're trying to establish. Let's talk about just kind of general elements of school culture. We anticipate and expect that there's going to be life and energy, that folks are going to be going about their work with enthusiasm, with joy, and with wonder. I mean, we have awesome things to study in every domain, and we hope to just deliver that sort of enthusiasm and joy about those things. The building itself, we aim for the aesthetics of the building itself to be beautiful, for it to be serious, inspiring, grounded in the curriculum, and not distracting. Now, we have an operations team that's coming online and is going to do wondrous things to the building before it opens and after it opens. I will tell you that the aesthetics of the building are sort of naturally a long-term project, right? But I want you to know that that's kind of what we aspire to do. And our teachers are going to get some pretty specific guidelines around kind of what their classrooms should look like. And then we are going to do our best to make the school. I think to say that it's a museum might be a little bit of an overstretch, but we do want the place to be beautiful. And we do want the art on the walls to be inspiring. And so all these things will come together to create an aesthetic, which also should just line up with our mission, something we aim for. Um, we hold ourselves accountable for professionalism in every level. And a big part of that is excellence in communication. So we're going to strive to be excellence in communicating with you. And we hope that you will be great in communicating with us. I'm going to talk about that in a few minutes. The general sentiment will be calm, peaceful, and orderly. These are things that we're after. And let me say kind of on that point a little bit about the dress code. So I think that we should all view the dress code as an opportunity to rise to a worthy occasion. Let us not approach the dress code merely as a set of rules to be followed. But one of the reasons we do that is to sort of impart to the students that this work is important. And also for our teachers and employees, we're going to dress professionally and kind of carry the same attitude. We're going to promote a sense of, as I mentioned earlier, thoughtful patriotism. And how does that work itself out? Well, it's certainly in the curriculum and in the things that we study, but it also in the school calendar. We're going to celebrate things like Veterans Day and Constitution Day and Martin Luther King Jr.'s Memorial Day and all these things that are patriotic in some sense. They're going to be a part of the school. Yeah, and let's see, we're all gonna. I hope that we will all memorize the mission, if only in short form. It would be just mean the world to us if our kids and our parents and our teachers could say, what's the mission of the school? The mission is to form knowledgeable, virtuous citizens. And one of the ways that we're kind of help teach our students what we're there to do is that we're going to teach them our motto. So within the first day, we're going to teach your kids to start the day by saying the Pledge of Allegiance to the American flag, and then they will say our motto. They're going to say, I will learn the true, I will do the good, and I will love the beautiful. And they'll probably come up with some sign language to accompany that and probably learn it in Spanish or some other languages as well. But that's kind of how we plan to set their hearts and their minds off on the right foot in the morning and every morning. And we want to be a school that celebrates effort, that celebrates virtue, habits of excellence I mentioned earlier, and also achievement. Of course, we want to celebrate achievement as well, but effort and virtue will also be equally as recognized. And over time, we're going to build a variety of extracurricular activities that appeal to our students, that appeal to our parents and our teachers. These are things that teach skills or that teach character and that are generally in alignment with our mission. And I'm going to say a few more words about that, but I want you to hear me say that we envision a school that has a very robust extracurricular life. Okay, we're still on the topic of culture. So let me shift to students and just talk about students just a little bit. Um, what do we expect for students? We expect students to be kind and attentive, right? If we are kind and attentive, then we don't even have to dip into the rest of the rule book, right? That's kind of the ambition. We hope that they will approach their work with interest and satisfaction, wonder and joy, that that over time, and it may take some time, our students will recognize that what they're learning, it's worthy of learning for its own sake, that it's satisfying, that the things they're learning are really precious. And one thing I know is going to become precious to them is the relationships they develop with each other and with their teachers in pursuit of those good things. One of the things that's kind of is sort of about students, it's a little bit about the school. It's a culture setting decision that we make is our K-12 configuration. So this is a culture setting idea. So we will open K-6. We're going to grow one grade per year, obviously, until we are a full K-12 school. And this provides all sorts of opportunities, both socially and intellectually for our students. So we're really excited. And that is absolutely the ambition, to continue to scale one grade per year. Lastly, on the topic of culture, I just want to talk a little bit more about teachers and employees. And I realize I'm talking to a mixed crowd here, a crowd of people who are coming to the school with their children, but also those that are going to be employed by us, that are our team, that are going to be delivering all these things we're talking about. I said earlier, our ambition is to hire kind-hearted subject matter experts. We want our teachers to be friendly and professional and communicative. We believe that the role of the teacher is first to lead, to know the subject matter as a guide, and then second, to love and to care for their students, right? We want teachers who are dedicated to the mission we've been describing, that they themselves have a genuine interest in learning and growth, that they love teaching at the school, that they're very interested and passionate not only about their subject, but at learning about their colleagues' expertise. It's this kind of intellectual curiosity that will create a culture among the faculty, which ultimately has wonderful benefits for our students. You know, we want our teachers and all of our employees to have a unified, collaborative, kind of relationship-oriented group of people, and that they would regularly participate in the extracurricular life of the school. All right, well, that's a lot about culture. I appreciate you indulging me on that. And I'm seeing a couple of comments come in. So things, again, if you've got questions, we do encourage you to write them into the chat. If we don't touch on them in today's presentation, then we will come back to you in other forms of writing or speaking to answer your questions pretty soon. Okay, I want to shift gears just a little bit. I want to move, let's see if I can get back over here. I want to get back to community. So why is community important to us? Well, it's in community with each other, really, that we model citizenship for our students. It's also where we have a lot of fun. And, you know, as I look ahead and I think about the launching of Atlanta Classical, the launching of Northwest Classical, you know, it's the friendships that have evolved for many of us that has kept us in this work. And so I just want to tell you, or I want to encourage you, that this is an opportunity, especially as the school is getting started, to lean in and make friends and get to know people and come to events the best you can, so that you have opportunities to you know, be part of the school community. Let me just talk through kind of elements of community that are important and things that we kind of intentionally create to give you all and us the opportunity to be in community with each other. Well, one of the things that we do is we hire a community engagement manager. We actually, you know, we didn't do this in the first year of NCA, and boy, did we're changing that plan. So we have a person that's on the leadership team that is responsible for making sure that volunteers have opportunities to connect with the school. This person will help with some of our annual fundraising efforts, which we will have some of those. And this person will help us be great communicators so that we're answering your questions and so that we're you know, just staying in contact with you. We're going to have a schedule of plenty of school and grade-wide events. Again, it will sort of build over time. Don't expect everything all at once. I'll say more about that in just a few minutes, but it is our ambition to have a series of events throughout the year that cause us to come together. We will have parent-teacher conferences, which will be your opportunity to engage one-on-one with your teachers. Obviously, that's something that you will enjoy and they will enjoy. We will eventually appoint grade level parents that will sort of foster communications and friendships and support for the teacher and togetherness out of the grade level. Later on, probably later in the school year, we will form what we call the mission support team. The mission support team is a representative body that includes employees, board members, and parents who guide and shape major decisions of the school and also support big efforts, kind of administrative efforts related to accreditation and renewal, things like that. That's also an opportunity for some to plug in. I'm sure our head of school, Mr. Carpenter, whom you will hear from soon, will have head of school coffees and other opportunities throughout the school year for you to come in and hear from him and him from you, and also just to generally socialize with friends at the school. We will do pretty regular surveys. We try not to overwhelm you with that, but we will, ask you for very specific feedback. Regular updates from Liberty and from me. I plan to do my best to be communicative of you. I will be much more strategic in nature and hopefully not into the weeds of the operation of the school, which are the things that you will be concerned about, but we're going to stick with you on that. And then over time, we'll have a business partners program and just many other activities that will be designed to bring us all together and build that kind of a community. Okay. I love this. The quote at the bottom down there is probably a little bit difficult to read. It says, this is from Mark Twain, who was always pithy and funny. He says, citizenship is what makes a republic. Monarchies can get along without it. What keeps a republic on its legs is good citizenship. And I think he's right about that politically, right? But what keeps a school on its legs is warm, welcoming, encouraging, respectful, professional, mission-driven community. It's our connections with each other. And so that's kind of what we aim to foster. Okay, let's see. I want to shift gears here. We're drawing a little bit towards the end, so thank you all for hanging with me. This is kind of the About Liberty section, and I realize this slide is a little bit of an eye chart, so let me just tell you what it says. It basically is meant to communicate that we have been at this work of starting schools for 12 years or so, 13 years or so. Yeah, we organized out of a sentiment that maybe some of you are feeling, and that I was at the time raising small children, and my wife and I were looking around for options. We did not find that the options that existed in the marketplace were what we were looking for, and so we started a school, and that work, we learned so much. We've just been so motivated to stick with it. That it led to the launch of several other schools. And so, yeah, we formed Liberty Classical Schools as an umbrella organization that exists to provide support back to these charter schools. A few years or a year after that, we had an opportunity to partner with the Charter School Growth Fund. They are looking for excellent school operators, and they added us to their list, which quite frankly, has made it possible for us to open Cherokee Classical Academy. I do not know that we would have opened it on this timeline without their financial and other professional support. So the Charter School Growth Fund are wonderful people who've done really, really great work for us. And then obviously where our plans are, and we are opening Cherokee Classical here in the fall, and we may have another school down in Fayette County not too long after that. Okay, I want to try to shift to kind of a full screen slide, because what I want to do now is I want you all to understand just a little bit about how Liberty connects to the school on a day-to-day basis. Before I do that, I want to just kind of set the tone, like, why did we even form Liberty? What is the motivation for those of us at Liberty to start and grow this network of schools? And I will say the first thing is really a sense of the moral responsibility to advance this mission. We believe that that this work is great on every level of analysis. It has been great for our own children. We think it's really great for our community to have such an institution pointed towards the goodness and truth and beauty. We think it's great for the state of Georgia to be the kind of state that has incredible educational options for all families, for all kind of different kids. And ultimately, we see that this work lines up with strengthening the nation, that we are forming what this nation needs, which is knowledgeable, virtuous citizens to carry the torch of success into our nation's future. So that moral responsibility is a big key piece. The next thing is to leverage experience and efficiencies. These schools are pretty complex. They're hard to run. And because of our passion for this thing, we just feel like there are great benefits from helping others get these things started in communities so that they can race up the learning curve, we hope, and leverage some efficiencies of scale, but also learn from the mistakes that we've made through the years, because we've made a lot of them. One of the things, another reason why we formed Liberty is that we want to empower our campus leaders to focus on students, employees, and excellence in teaching and learning. What we have learned is that a K-12 American classical school in a charter environment is highly complex, and a school leader left on his or her own will almost inevitably become a bureaucrat, and we don't want that to happen. We want our head of school, we want our principals to be focused on teaching and learning and kids and parents and taking care of our own employees so that we do those other things well. And so what Liberty tries to do is remove as much administration from the plates of our leadership team on the campus as possible. So that's a big thing. Another reason was to broaden the philanthropic base. The fact is, these are capital intensive enterprises, and we need philanthropy to make this thing go. And we do think it helps us to have scale to attract donors, not only at the local level, but also donors who are interested in the broader initiative of forming knowledgeable, virtuous citizens. Also, developing Liberty was important to us because our size and our impact to the state gives us better political positioning and influencing. And I won't go into the details of this now, except to say that this school is being very directly impacted by a lot of our government affairs initiatives that have really come out of Liberty's office. And again, the details are for another call, but it's an important part. We are absolutely operating in the public domain, and we have political partners, and it helps us to have some size, scale, and influence. And then finally, one of the reasons that we're so motivated to create Liberty and to create this network of schools is that we want to be the kind of organization that is attractive to the most talented people in education. And we want to be able to bring them in, give them training, give them support, and also give them a pathway to kind of advance in their careers, whether that is to become a master teacher, which is a absolutely wonderful thing to do, but also, in so doing, become a teacher of teachers. But another thing is that they may decide they want to move into leadership. That also is really good. All right, let me kind of bring this slide up. Hopefully this works. All right, hopefully you can see the slide. I know this is a complicated chart, so let me just kind of tell you what the main point is that Liberty is organized to provide each head of school with optimal support. So you can see kind of right in the middle of the slide, the head of school there is blue with a kind of a black border there. And on the bottom, you've got essentially all of the department heads that will come to life. Maybe not all of these will be in existence in the school's first year. For example, we will not have an upper school principal because we don't yet have an upper school. And we may not name an athletics director and fine arts director right away, but eventually we will. But the key point is that, in the middle and the bottom there, you've got the key on-campus leadership team that will be supporting your kids and your family in this school. And each one of those has a counterpart at the Liberty level. And so our intent here is, again, to surround the head of school with experts who have been in this work for a long time. Our ambition is to help the school race up the learning curve, to not make mistakes that we've made in the past, to leverage a lot of the systems and other things that we have developed that help us run these schools well. And that's kind of how it works. And so certainly happy to answer questions about that later, but this is sort of generally what the org chart will look like. I should just mention that, we are a public charter school, right? And so the basic charter school premise here is that we have increased flexibility, increased freedom, but in exchange, we have a higher level of accountability. And that accountability, what that means in the real world, is a lot of paperwork, right? It means a lot of reports. It means a lot of dialogue with our authorizers in government. And so again, sort of a big part of all this is to try to remove some of those things from the plate of the head of schools so that he, in your case, so that Mr. Carpenter can be focused on his leadership team and focused on his teachers to deliver excellence for your children, rather than concerning himself with a lot of the things that are important but are just in a different domain. Okay, so that's just kind of how we think about that. All right, I want to talk just briefly. We're kind of coming to the end here, but I want to speak briefly about this. Um, let's just talk a little bit about communications. This is a pretty practical point, and we'll reiterate this again and again. But inevitably, you as new parents and new employees, for that matter, are going to have questions, and you may have concerns, you may have grievances. Those are okay. It's fine. It's normal. We want to address these professionally and clearly as we possibly can. And the best way to do that is for us to utilize the chain of command in our communication. Our general sentiment about things is that we want to have the hard conversations when we need to at the level that is closest to the action. So if we have a challenge with somebody or a question about maybe something's just not clear, the best way to start is to go directly to that teacher, go directly to that coach or program leader or staff member. What I'm trying to say is just go to the person that is kind of carrying the challenge, whatever that is, right? And then we will elevate, if necessary, we elevate that through the principals. Next year, we will have a lower school academic dean. And then the following year, we will start to, we'll have principals, lower school and upper school principal. So kind of you'll have to carry the issue, if necessary, to the principal that's pertinent to the question, then to the head of school, then to the superintendent, that's me, and then finally to the board of directors. And if we'll all kind of stick to that chain of command, we really will have every opportunity to clarify things at the most appropriate level. It'll be the fastest, and that's just kind of good business, right? And we try to keep this thing intact all the way around. So by the same token, if I have, a thought or an idea for a teacher, for example, you can bet I am not going to go directly to that teacher and share that with that teacher. I'm going to use the chain of command as well. And you might recognize that I have a little bit of a Navy background, which I do, a little bit of command and control here. But my experience is that even in the modern world, this sort of clarity of communication, it will really serve us well. So just ask you to respect this and keep this intact best you can, and off we'll go. Okay. All right, let's see what's next here. Oh, great. I've been waiting for this. All right. Nearing the close here, my friends. It is time to share with you kind of some of my lessons for new school communities. And these are just thoughts, a couple of that I put down here that again sort of flow both from my experience as a father, but also having been in school leadership and having had the opportunity to start a few schools. First thing is, mission first. Keep the mission first. This, as I've said, is the reason to be at the school. It's a wonderful thing to be in community with teachers and other families who have this kind of similar idea, but we're here to form knowledgeable, virtuous citizens. And so we try to put almost everything we do through that lens. And sometimes that causes us to add new programs. Sometimes it causes us to say no to ideas that are pretty good, but they just may not be in alignment with what we're trying to do. Okay, so as long as we'll keep the mission first, we will generally be in a good position. The next idea is to embrace grace and grit. And so let me kind of say what I mean by that. First of all, good advice here, I think, is assume the best in one another. We will assume the best in you, mom and dad. We will assume the very best in you, future employee of Cherokee Classical Academy. And we would ask you to assume the best in us. We are doing, all of us, doing the best we can to create a great organization, to create a great experience for our families and our kids. And so let's just assume that we are. That's just a good starting point in the tone and in the way that we engage with one another. And then the second thing is just embrace the struggle. I mean, what we're doing is hard. Let's not pretend that it isn't hard. As I indicated earlier, bringing a lot of people together, from a lot of different walks of life, trying to get them aligned in terms of all the logistics of running a school, not to mention, you all, that raising children is simply hard. It's just hard. And sometimes things go perfectly well, and sometimes they don't. And what we rely on is that we're together and that we're all, doing our best to try to raise strong young men and women, and to help them through their challenges. And I am a person, by the way. I have different kinds of kids, right? I have those for whom I have one for whom everything seems to just kind of come easy. And she has made her mother and I think that we're God's gift to parenting, right? And I have other children that are, we'll just say, not like that, right? And so same household, but so I want to just be empathetic with you all, and let's name it. Raising kids is hard. Um, but we assume that we're trying our best, and that's a great starting point. I want to say that growth takes patience, that we're going to make mistakes, but that we're going to keep improving. And remember, strength rejoices in the challenge. The next one there, speak with honor. Yeah, this one's really important, I think. And we kind of talked about this just a few minutes ago when we were talking about using the chain of command. But my strong encouragement to all of us, our employees and all of you, is let's just say right now, no gossip. We are not gossiping. We do not gossip. We go to the source. If there is a question about the school, the best place to ask that question, again, go to the source. If it's a classroom thing, go to the teacher. If it's a staffing thing, go to the staff. But try to get answers directly from the source. Let's make it a habit not to gossip about really anything. There's nothing good comes from that. And we know, and you know this too, that communities thrive on clarity and trust. And so a great way to do that is just, let's speak professionally and directly with one another and just tackle challenges and issues as they come up head on. Practice patience. Number 4, practice patience as a virtue. We are, after all, building a school together. I've kind of mentioned this a lot, but you might have the question, are we going to have clubs? Yes. Are we going to have athletics? Yes. Are we going to have fine arts? Yes. But we're going to have to give it a little time. That things will come on incrementally. Our history at our pre-existing schools is that all of these things come to fruition, and everybody has a part and a role in that, and so it's going to happen. Not everything will happen on day one, but we will show forward progress. We will indicate and show you that we are building programs over time. So just hang tight. Understand that the main thing, getting the main thing right, which is the quality of teaching and learning in the classroom, is absolutely the priority, and that we will sort of scale programs and build out that robust extracurricular environment that we described. That will happen over time. Okay, last one is celebrate the good. We want to celebrate effort, virtue, and progress and achievement, all those things. One of the things that I want to say is try, my friends, everybody knows that comparison is the thief of joy, right? And so, yes, we are developing a model of school that is very consistent. There are a lot of things about Atlanta Classical, Northwest Classical, and Cherokee Classical that will be the same, but there may be some details that are different. And so I want to kind of jump ahead of this one a little bit, because the temptation very often is to read somebody else's website or somebody else's email and say, hey, those guys are doing this. Why are we not doing that? And just know that kind of our ambition is to set a framework for a model of school, and then let the local leadership and let the parents, let the teachers be involved in shaping the details of how programs sort of roll out. So there are things that are standard. There are things that we do that are very much common, but there are also differences. And the most important thing is that these differences have almost everything to do with the maturity of the school. So a school that's in its 11th year, a school that's in its 5th year, is going to be ready to do things that are different than a school in its 1st year. So that's all I'm saying, is just, kind of hang with us on that. Don't get too anxious if you're kind of looking over at a different school wondering, well, why don't we have that yet? We just hang tight. We will. And then when we do great things, we want to celebrate the good things that we are doing. And I guess this the overarching idea is, yeah, this is hard work, but it is absolutely going to be worth it. Okay, let's see. I think I am nearing the very end here, and just wanted to kind of close this out by sharing some announcements and next steps with you all. So volunteer work days. So we are going to have some volunteer work days this summer. As you can imagine, The building and the grounds need some work before we fill it with students and teachers. And so, stay tuned for that. We're going to share the details on that. We will have some surveys forthcoming. We've got some things that we need to know about you in order to serve you well. So stand by and be responsive if you see those. We hope to soon launch a weekly newsletter, which will get into a little bit more, significantly more detail about the coming of the school year and things that we're doing for you, but also things we need from you. And then I think that Mr. Carpenter is going to do a similar webinar that I'm doing here, or some kind of event, it may be in person. And so today is really a start, right? It's just going to be kind of the very beginning of a whole lot of communication and engagement with each other. So stand by for that. A couple of announcements the team asked me to make. The uniform store will be live soon. I mean, very soon. So look for your email there. We hope to schedule a uniform try-on event. We found that to be useful to families in the past, and so stand by for that also coming. And then once this uniforms situation resolves it, kind of once we're able to go online and buy uniforms, you want to place those orders by July 22nd to make sure they get to you the first day of school. My thought would be order as soon as you can. So, try to get on there and get that wrapped up. Okay. Quick note here for just connecting with us on all the different platforms. Certainly you're already on our email list if you're on this call today, so we're grateful for that. We try to be somewhat active on social media. It is a pretty decent way to communicate, so look for Cherokee Classical. We're on Facebook and Instagram. Liberty Classical Schools is on LinkedIn. I am personally on LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram, and would be delighted to connect with you there. So, all right, my friends, I think we're kind of at the end. I want to appreciate you, or thank you for your patience. It's been a lot of fun to share these ideas with you. I absolutely, it means something to me as the founder of this initiative here in Georgia, to be connected with the kids and families that we serve. And so thank you for letting me kind of come into your home or onto your phone or however we're connecting right now. I hope that we will stay in touch. We aim to bring you helpful and inspiring, encouraging information through the airwaves and sometimes in-person events. We want you to be up to speed on the work of Liberty Classical Schools. We want you to be first and foremost encouraged and excited about this new school and the new community you're about to join, but also to kind of see all of this work in a broader in the broader initiative, which is that we're doing our best to make this style of education and this kind of community available across the state of Georgia, where people would love to have it. And you are a huge part of that. And so we're incredibly grateful for you and all that you do. So I look forward. I can't wait to get off the call to read the questions. Not going to tackle those right now, but we will. Our whole team meets later, and we'll dive into those and start to kind of feed those back to you over time. And thank you so much for entrusting the most important thing in your family, your children, to us. We do not take that lightly, and so we're very grateful. All right, thank you all for joining us. I'm going to sign off. I'm Matthew Kirby, and y'all have an incredible day. Take care.